So, welcome, David. Welcome, Samir, to our monthly meetup. We're trying to have a meeting every month, talk about different things in agile environment. This month, we're focusing more on agile. Uh, I was basically Samir wanted to focus on how is AI actually turbocharging our agile development? Uh, my goal is to remind everyone that agile is about people first. And I think David would love to hear your perspective, how AI is basically impacting the entire uh, ecosystem of agile development.
I'd love to share my perspective. I just actually made a video about it for my YouTube channel, and I feel like we've lost the message. So people talk a lot about I want to be agile or do agile, but I want to just bring back us to the Agile Manifesto and all of the original authors,
Yes.
many of which who I know personally. They are all software developers. They all write code.
Right.
And they wrote the Agile Manifesto because they wanted to find ways of making software agile. See, the key bottleneck in most organizations that I see is that their IT is not agile. And so they can't respond to new opportunities. They have all this legacy code, right? And so those guys got together to say, hey, here's a better way to build software. Here's some technical practices that allow us to build software that not only works today, but can change as we evolve.
In today's discussion, we would like to cover AI tools reshaping sprint planning, scaling agile at enterprise levels, ethical dilemmas. We'll even shout out tools like Jira, PlanView, and GitHub Copilot.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we have here is this AI tool basically it does there's AI powered burn down charts, but does it really outsmart a Scrum Master or an actual human in the middle?
Right. Let's start with talk about automation. This is a key subject in Agile. What do you think, David? How does AI help with automation?
So first off, I love how you're thinking about this because this is where we should start. We should start thinking about how all the places that AI can help us in agile software development outside of coding, with the planning, with the organization, with all those things that AI is currently really, really good at. Yes. Because currently AI is not really good at coding.
Right.
It will be very soon, but it's not quite yet.
Agreed.
So yes, I'm with you 100%. So what are the areas? What are the areas that AI can help supercharge and support us in doing agile right? I've had a lot of conversations with my AI recently about this, and it's very exciting because it agrees that we have failed in a lot of ways with agile. The message of agile hasn't really reached the masses in most companies. And I see this a lot in the comments of my YouTube channel, The Passionate Programmer, because people say I hate my job, and it doesn't have to be that way, And I don't think AI is going to take over our jobs, but I think it's going to make it so much more exciting because we're going to handle problems that we could never handle before, And it's going to open up opportunities for solopreneurs,
Absolutely. Product owners will have faster ways to prove their ideas than actually relying on actual developers to just build a concept. But scaling software for 1 million users still need a developer. You can't just rely on a auto-generated code. Things that you mentioned, Samir, basically repetitive tasks. I think using AI for something repetitive, it's a lifesaver. But you still need, as a team, to own the backlog. You don't need to just trust the algorithm and how things are delivered.
Yeah.
It's very, very well said. By the way, some tools integrate AI to streamline value stream management. They connect DevOps, pipelines, bottlenecks, and auto-prioritize work, which is a huge, right, for scaling Agile.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah.
And I think the key is not abdicating our control, but rather sort of partnering and using AI to do the tasks that that we kind of sometimes overlook, looking for edge cases, looking for patterns that sometimes humans don't see.
Yeah, I was thinking about the tool like from Plan View. Plan View was basically it does help optimize the speed of the pipeline, but it doesn't optimize the value. Like a human need to own that value. Like you are the one who's defining the value. Tool will help you to like orchestrate things in a faster way potentially, but not what bring value to the business and to the team.
Yeah. And my question is it possible to bring people through a process of learning how to apply, AI in a good way and teach the AI as well so that it understands what our roles as humans are and helps us stay on track,
Right. So that's why we keep saying AI is here to augment, not to replace.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think one other case of AI basically in terms of prediction, like is it going to help solve the debate on is this story 3 points or 13 points, or how the team estimate their stories?
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that it will help de-emphasize those things because the thing that's great about estimation is thinking through the process. The thing that sucks about estimation is, oh, this is a 3 or this is a 5 or whatever number they come up with, where it is much more fluid than that. And the other thing is that people don't recognize that whatever that number means changes from month to month.
The main concept was in Agile is basically to go and read things from historical data, analyze 100 past sprints, and basically predict all that. But we know that it changes, and the team need to be comfortable with that. Leadership need to be comfortable with that changes, and how things are estimated. And people who are not technically coder have a problem in understanding that. Like, why? I need to budget things. I need to put money behind it. And how is that going to be aligned?
True.
Yeah.
But AI can also learn, right? Like if you put like Plan View with the ClickUp's AI, which refines estimates as teams mature, it's a feedback, better data, better prediction, feedback loop, right?
It's not so much the estimation, but how we interpret what that means. If we use it for security, like to hide behind, then it's not very good. If we use it to recognize that it's fluid, that who is it, Churchill, who said planning is essential, plans are worthless,
True.
And that's the whole thing about being agile. That's why we use the word agile, because we want to change our plans midstream. The second principle of the Agile Manifesto is we welcome changing requirements, even late in the development cycle. We welcome them, not we try to push them back, but we actually want you to give it to us because we know more then. And we want to be able to leverage that. And again, we can only do that if we write changeable software, which is a series of technical practices. It's simple practices, but it's stuff that people don't know. And it just shocks me, that we're 20 years in, and some of the just simple things that they talk about in XP and design patterns and stuff, people are like, huh, what's that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I can't agree more. Like basically, when I remember things that in my work life, especially as a consultant, we are delivering software to clients, and having that concept, like basically, there's always a clash between what the class of interest between them wanted to expand the scope, but we also want to control the budget, so we don't have a budget overrun, and then basically cost overrun, all that. So finding teams who can agree on ways of working that basically protect everyone's interest and talk about these interests. Like it's not something to shy away from. You need to talk about these things as a team, as a client, as a consultant, and agree that, well, I'm in business to make money. I don't want to rub you off, but basically, in order to deliver software, this is how we should do it. This will be more flexible for you, and this is how we can agree to get you more value. And it's not a checklist of features that you need. It's just what actually going to bring you value at the end of the day.
before we move to the next point, David, if you don't mind, I would like to show the books again. I want to make sure we
Oh yeah,
the recording.
my books. This is my
You-
first book.
Excellent.
I think my camera is upside down, so
No,
but it's
it's
called Beyond
actually
Legacy Code.
Beyond Legacy Code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one?
And the other one that I just came out with, the second edition a few months ago. This is Prompt
Wow.
Engineering for Everyone. And
Nice.
this I co-wrote with ChatGPT.
Wow.
And it includes an introduction, beginning for prompting, all the way up to advanced, how to do advanced prompting. And there's a lot to it. It includes a catalog of a couple of dozen different prompt patterns that you can use for different kinds of interactions.
If you don't
Yeah.
mind, team, I would like us to talk about scaling, my favorite subject. Like enterprises use frameworks like SAFe or less, but coordinating 20 teams remains a chaotic job, right? How can AI help? Ziad.
Oh man, you're talking about the toughest questions in our industry.
David, go ahead.
Yeah, like I think the AI for portfolio level planning, aligning epics, predicting resource gaps, even auto balances workload, it's going to help there, but it does introduce some complexities. AI can help with some of like navigating some of that organization because it can look at large amount of data and organize it in a way that give like a better view of how the team can organize the work.
Understanding the principles of how to build good software, changeable code, because if you just ask it to build something for you, it'll work, but it won't be changeable. It won't be built in a way that it's straightforward to change. And until
we maintain it,
until we understand how to build software in that way, and then can teach AI to do it, you know, I think that's the big challenge. And that's what I'm really trying to focus on is how do we teach AI to build stuff that can last?
Beautiful.
yeah.
It's like it all goes back to what data we feed AI with, right?
Yep.
Like AI is as like some tools can identify blockers across the portfolio. Like no more waiting for the monthly review to spot burning platform.
Yeah. And you know, I was a little skeptical, but things like this, it's been pretty interesting. I've seen where AI has caught blockers that we didn't notice, which is interesting. I'm still, you know, like all of us, still trying to evaluate what its role is. I don't think it'll replace the rest of the team either. It's not going to replace developers, but it's not going to necessarily replace Scrum Masters or product owners.
Totally agreed.
I wonder if there's going to be a strong pressure, though, for these people to then multitask more. And I think that could be a real challenge. You know, the teams still need the human connection.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The way I see it from my end, it should help in triggering a better and deeper conversation, right?
Yeah, that's the ideal. That's what we're really striving for.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think for enterprise software, when you're managing a team with 200 people, scaled agile, if the agile tool said, okay, it would be optimize your timeline if you move 3 people from this team to this team, like, okay, that's good. It's driven by data, but well, will the team fit? What's the team dynamics? Is it going to introduce more trouble? And that's where human judgment will come in and say, okay, you can't just shift people and expect them to perform exactly. There's like it should not trigger reorg. It could give you some data informed decisions, but don't start shuffling things because AI reads the matrix and says this will work better for you. I want to talk also about PI planning, especially with these large teams. Like for scaled agile, we have this huge ceremonies for product increment planning, especially in SAFe methodology, and basically it takes days. And we think AI can actually save time there. So what's your take on that?
It's interesting. I think that it's pretty funny because originally people came to Agile because there was so much heavyweight process that people didn't have enough time to write any code, you know? And now Scrum takes like 20 or more % of our time in meetings. exactly what we try to avoid.
It defeats the purpose.
It kind of does. So anything that gets people who are responsible for creating new product to do that instead of being in meetings or talking about process or anything would be really, really valuable. That's why I'm a huge proponent of XP, because extreme programming uses the idea of everybody working in collaboration in a pairs or mobs. And so we're not meeting talking about what we're going to do. We're actually doing it together, which is actually far more productive. And I can tell you, the top teams in the world, the top software companies in the world, they operate that way. So they may know something that many other people don't.
I totally agree. I think it all goes like these processes, and again, I'm not a big fan of these big fat processes for because it's heavyweight. It does add so much weight. But I don't want to undersell them and say they're not useful, because I think they're needed, because there's some checks and balances that organization need outside the Scrum team. At the end of the day, there's someone who's funding the project. They need some certainty. They need some road mapping. They need some and they are outside the software industry, so they're looking for tools. And if we don't invent tools that work with us, it just basically they're going to come up with their own tool that will hinder us even more. So the idea is from Scrum and Safe and all, it's basically tools inspired by software development industry to say, yes, we'll get you what they want using our way. We have a methodology. Don't worry, don't go and invent something that's going to slow us down. But how we can make these processes faster. And I think AI can play a role in basically help and prioritization, make all these PI planning much faster, make dependencies view, instead of typical PI planning that takes 2 days, you could shrink it to 4 hours or something, because you are using these tools. You give confidence to the people who are funding the project that you have things under control, and give them some roadmap for where things are going. At the same time, you are not taking so much time from the actual coding time or development time.
That's gold. AI can also, in addition to what you said, AI can mitigate risks by predicting blockers. Tools like Jira, Align simulates PI outcomes. So if team B's velocity drops 20%, let's say, how does that impact the release? So the leaders get a risk radar, if you will, before committing.
Guinness and his work with estimation, because instead of coming up with a number, he talks about a probability,
Yeah.
And that opens up a conversation. And that's really what we want to do when we're estimating, is have conversations. It's not the number again. It's really what we're learning from each other about it. That's why I'm a big fan of specification by example, or BDD, because we're working through the problem together. We're talking about it as an example, concretizing the ideas. So there's all sorts of great techniques in Agile.
Yes, they are. We also, again, we know that top management, for the most of the time, they buy tools not because of its usefulness, but sometimes because someone convinced them that this is the right tool for the process.
Yeah.
Or because of licensing costs and all that.
Bad.
Yeah, and sometimes it gets forced on the team. So we need to try to influence that. I've seen some tools, it's big, heavy tools, but sometimes with the additional AI aspect to it, it became a little bit more helpful. I know IBM Target Process added some additional tool basically to help solve some dependencies feature and spot the dependencies. And that's what AI good for. Basically analyze massive amount of data, show me what I'm missing, visualize it to me so I can make a decision. Don't really rely on decision making, but visualize it to me. I've seen things in Target Process. I've seen things in Plan View. I'm not saying that these tools are better than actual meeting with people, but sometimes when you have a massive team, you need someone to help synthesize the data, bring it up front, and show you all these dependencies.
Do you mind if we spend some few minutes discussing the QBRs, the quarterly business reviews? and how AI can help in running successful QBRs?
Sure. I don't know much about it, but I'd like to learn. Go ahead.
Ziad, any thoughts?
Yeah, like again, QPRs and consulting industry, it's it's something that we take time a lot to prepare quarterly business results, quarterly business reviews for the software that we are preparing. It takes tons of time to basically prepare KPIs, spot the trend, and then basically present the data. So I think tools like influenced by AI can do this faster.
Yes.
And
Faster, but also smarter, if you agree with that. And to your point, David, so QBRs, like some commercial frameworks, like this is like standard within their cadence, you know, like every 3 months, quarterly, they run this big event or a big ceremony where they have everybody inside the portfolio. And we're talking about scaled agile or like a huge programs to make sure, you know, the basic goal is about reflecting on goals from the previous from the beginning of the quarter, the matrix, the course correction, a discussion about what happened, what went well, what did not go well on a bigger scale, if you will. And AI can flag risks, human miss. This is important. Like a team, your velocity dipped 20% every Q3 for 3 years. Is this burnout seasonal? Is this burnout seasonal or what? You know, it triggers the right conversation. It doesn't have to dictate, but it raises the question that we need to look into this and find out what is happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that AI can do in these, because there's tons of data in all these tools that we're using, it can generate some nice dashboards, hopefully, like but not the typical one. But the way that I want to stress on this is basically use these dashboards as a way to trigger conversation, because it actually the human who can interpret the dashboard and actually explain why is happening. Like for example, team is not performing. Is it not performing because they actually don't understand the goal? Are they actually mentoring other team members and they have so many junior in that team and that's why they are basically, according to your metrics, they are not performing compared to other team? Or they're actually like they have some skills gap. So just looking at dashboard and saying this team is bad is not the right strategy. You have that human judgment, and AI can't help you with that. You need to get that human, know the team, and then start a conversation based on the result that given to you by AI or visualized result that AI can generate to you.
Agreed. That's why like having hybrid approaches can be helpful. Like I've seen teams use scenario modeling tools to simulate scenarios like what if we reallocated 25% of budget to AI initiatives? Then the leaders debate the strategic implications of such move, you know?
I want to talk about like my main pet peeve here in using AI is how that influences the ethics. And again, influencing the team. If you have an AI tool in the team and basically they're trying to judge morals or going through the messages and identifying, going through Slack, for example, and saying, okay, this team is not performing. So how's that ethical play go into the process and impact the process?
I think people will have managers who misuse AI are going to be cursing themselves, you know? They're going to be creating their own big problems. Thinking from this narrow perspective, this old perspective, can be nothing but self-defeating, you know? And anybody who's working on teams like that, I just encourage them to get out and find people who are, you know, who are much more open. If there's going to be this big challenge in the industry for jobs, it's going to be against big companies. And what's going to happen is they're going to be the ones who are going to lay off people, and people are going to be like, hey, I could do it myself. And they're going to start their own companies and blow those big corporations away.
Right.
you know, and AI will be able to help them with that. But it's not AI taking people's jobs. It's a whole new class of solopreneurs, and not just us in the, you know, this first world. It'll be people all over the world, because
Correct.
it's all now democratized and all a level playing field. With
Exactly.
YouTube, with Raspberry Pi for $200, a computer you can have,
Right.
you know, and that's very exciting because it means human potential is being opened up. You know, I can't see this as anything but really, really good. You know,
Yep.
I'm excited
I
about
agree.
it. And I think
I'm
our
super
industry can be the ones who really hold the torch and are ahead of the game with everyone, you know, because we in the software industry can show how we can use AI to handle this enormous backlog that we have. We don't even realize it any longer in our industry, but you know, it takes years sometimes to get product out to, or to get features out to customers. And
Right.
what happens when we change that and make it happen in days or hours or minutes?
Yes.
It's going to
Absolutely.
radically transform every other business in the world. And we have the opportunity to do this. So I'm excited to share.
Yeah, I love your energy. I love your energy here. And I think one of the things, since we are talking about huge backlog, like I've witnessed this in many big banks and organizations here. Like basically, there's so many dead skeletons in the basement that they don't want to touch. There's so many old solutions that they don't want to touch because first, it's working. It's not risky. It's too risky to touch, and it's running in a legacy code that no one knows. And basically, those no one want to take the risk and take the blame after that, saying, "Okay,
Yes.
you damaged the process here."
And I want to say
So
to people, don't think about doing this yet. Don't think about using AI to fix your legacy code blindly yet. You know, that's
yeah,
very dangerous.
I
We
hear you.
really
it's very
have to
dangerous.
figure this out, you know.
Right.
It's very dangerous, but the idea is the speed where you can experiment.
Totally.
And
That's
yes,
awesome. If you know what you're doing, you can wield it and become 10 times more productive. If
exactly.
you don't know what you're
Exactly.
doing, you can generate legacy code super
I
fast.
agree. As long as the developer is the last line of defense, then feel free to
Yeah,
experiment.
that's
But
true.
because
Wait
AI
for the last line.
hallucinates sometimes, right? Or many
Mhm.
times. So allow me to ask us this last question, if you will. So is AI Agile's new best friend or a chaotic frenemy?
That is the question. That is the absolutely big question. And it really depends. And I think it depends on one thing. It depends upon if we value building software that lasts, if we value building an industry around software development, rather than just slapping things together, rather than just looking for the fastest, quickest way to get things out the door. If we
Right.
start to understand what good code means, what the nature of change is, how to model things correctly and create domain models that are flexible and changeable, then we will realize the dream of Agile. And we have the last chance. This is our final opportunity to do this, humanity. And so we want to be able to do this. We want to be able to build good software. And, you know, the pioneers in Agile have really done an amazing job. You know, the Gang of
Yeah.
Four, the founders, the original authors of the Agile Manifesto, domain-driven design, all these ideas are, you know, really bringing us together if we pay attention to it. So I'm excited
Absolutely.
for this. I'm very excited. And I want to share something too sometime with you.
I love the energy,
Yeah.
David.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm moving out of training and I'm moving into coaching. And
Nice.
because I really feel like, I'm doing exactly this. How do we bring AI into software development and our developer processes? And I created.
And I think one thing that people need to realize is basically you can't replace a human judgment, and you can't replace a human in the middle. Like
Right.
even if you have like the greatest AI tool, the best code, you still need to have someone who knows what he's doing. That's the first thing,
Yeah.
and knows how to run these tools, and basically knows how to use best judgment to say, is this maintainable? Is this scalable? Is this secure? Is this ethical? Is
Yeah.
it running in Am I protecting the data for my customers? All that, and that will require some human process, human design, human knowledge, culture awareness, which basically AI can't replicate in many and context awareness, and adding all that in the mix, and I think there's an opportunity for so many improvement in existing tools. There's tools that are saving time and making additional like speed, but there's also opportunity for tools to help a human make these decisions faster, and but still rooted in their cultural context, and I'll say bias avoiding, and it needs to come from the bottom up. It needs to come from the software development economy, the software development community, not from the management down, which was basically right now. You can see that so many things coming from top down, where industry saying or management saying use this tool because it's faster, cheaper, but not from bottom up, which says, okay, well, I'm not comfortable using these tools because it infringe my privacy, or it's actually does influence how I like think about this context. I have more value to provide than just what the tool's telling me to do. So there's need to be collaboration how we can come up with these tools.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys. I had no idea that I was going to wind up on a podcast.